Hello, chess family. It's me, National Master Jesse James, and today we're going over a very historic game. We're going over Game 2 of the World Chess Championship for Ding Liren versus Ian Nepo, or Nepo as we like to say. Well, in this game, this is an amazing game you're going to be seeing today. This is the first blood of the tournament. First game was a draw. Second one, Nepo does an amazing and beautiful attack here. Let's go and take a look here. We start up with d4, knight f6, c4, e6, the Masters opening. Why is it a Masters opening? Well, here already black has many different options that they can choose. They could play d5 to go into a queen's gambit. They could play c5 for a modern Bayoni. They could play b6 for the old Indian, Nimzo Indian bishop b4, and the list goes on and on. This is played because you're not really giving your hand away. With that being said, shortly we will see what we will be playing. Here, well, Nepo of course does not play knight c3. He goes knight f3, the anti-Nimzo Indian. Well, maybe it's not too obvious to some people, but knight c3 is not the move to be played here because after bishop b4, the Nimzo Indian, black just has a great score here. It's pretty much refuted at this point. You find some people that do play it, but they're winning mostly because they're just better players in general. But as far as stats goes, it is out. Nimzo Indian is not too good for white here. So here instead, white plays knight f3, the anti-Nimzo Indian, and here we go, pawn to d5. We're now transferring over to a queen's gambit. All right, here we go. Pawn h3 got played, and this threw the chess world in array, or disarray. And, well, what does this move do? Already, we're in very low theory right now because, well, although this may be a queen's gambit, h3 doesn't get played too often. Now, don't get me wrong. The computer does give it as one of the top moves, but unfortunately for Ding Liren, it does not work out with him. Well, here, well, we're already on brand new moves on move 4 in the World Chess Championship. Things cannot get any crazier. Here we go. He goes ahead and plays d takes c4. Of course, you know Nepo's all in for attacks and trying to make this position crazy. Well, d takes c4. Here we go. e3, classical move here, just trying to win the pawn here on c4. And pawn c5, a very good move here. Just remember, when you play against d4, you want to try and get c5 in as soon as possible. This is already starting to look like a Tarrasch over here. And here, bishop takes on c4, pawn to a6. Of course, he's more than welcome to play c takes on d4, but after e takes d4, well, I'm pretty sure Ding would like to be attacking Nepo because remember, Nepo is a very aggressive chess player. So when it comes down to it, he'd rather take attacking positions, even though this does give a plus position for black here because, well, this is an isolated pawn. But when you have the isolated pawn, that means you need to attack, and black should defend and go toward endgame. Nepo's not in for that today. Instead, he chooses the fighting move pawn to a6, looking to expand on the queen side here. All right, here we go. Castles king side, knight c6, knight c3, and pawn to b5. Here comes the pawn structure. Bishop over to d3 and bishop to b7. This already reminds me of kind of like a Moran kind of semi-Slav kind of position. And this reminds me of the World Chess Championship with Anand versus Kramnik. Well, where Kramnik was playing the white side of this, and well, Anand was just able to beat him with the black pieces. And we're going to be seeing very aggressive positions just like this, just like in those games. All right, here we go. Pawn to a4. Ding tries to attack on the queen side. And, well, here we go. Nepo, pawn to b4, pushing forward on the queen side here and kicking the knight. All right, the knight jumped to e4. And here, knight to a5. A very interesting move here, allowing white to grab a little initiative. Unfortunately for Ding, he makes the wrong choice here. All right, white to move. What do you play here? Would you rather take on c5 or should you take on f6 here? All right, hopefully you made a decision. Maybe you went by your instinct. Maybe you pushed pause and tried to figure it out which one is objectively better. Here, unfortunately for King Ding, he went ahead and played knight takes on f6 here. Well, what was wrong with this? We'll see in a second. Let's go and take a look real quick. What was wrong? What was good about knight takes on c5? After knight takes on c5, this is really the only way that white can keep up their slight plus. Don't get me wrong, the pawn on c5 will fall, but at least we could try to grab the bishop pair over here. After this, black really has nothing better than to take on c5, d takes on c5, and maybe something like bishop takes f3 could get played, but computer definitely likes this knight to d7 to win the c5 pawn back right away. Well, I mean, this is the best that white could have done for, but unfortunately for him, he took on knight takes on f6, and well, Nepo goes ahead and plays a very nice move here with, hopefully you see it, g takes on f6, and this is a very surprising move, at least for some people, but this is a very good idea. Now you see that the new strongest piece on the board is actually this bishop, which is heading toward this king and attacking this critical g2 square. And all of a sudden, now we have a rook over here to attack the king. If I were to ask you, which king do you think is safer now? I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to say, you know what? I think the king in the center is actually safer than the king that's actually castled. Here, the king really doesn't have any pawns really to deal with. But again, once g takes on f6 was played, now this open pawn, this open file is going to give this pawn really some hard days ahead. All right, here we go. When they attack on the wing, you attack on the center. Here, both wings are being attacked by Nepo. So Ding goes for the center with pawn to e4. And c4, he hits it hard on the wing again. The bishop really is having a hard time finding any good squares to move to. Already at this point, Nepo is at negative 0.7 here with a clear advantage. All right, here we go, bishop c2. And now some nice simple moves here, just developing and putting pressure on the king side. Queen c7, bishop d2, nice developing little move here. Rook to g8, of course we know this rook's going to be coming down the file anyways. Rook c1, and now I'm not sure how surprising this was, but black to move, what would you play here? There's lots of good moves to play in this position. I was very surprised whenever I saw it. Castle's queenside, fire on the board. Things are going crazy. I don't know how this happened. We're only on move 16, going on 17. And well, look at this position. It's just crazy. White's king over here is on the king side, the queen side, and look at these. We got some passed pawns over here. The rooks are very well placed. I mean, basically, black's pieces are just doing great here. The rooks are looking good on open files over here, making attacks. Bishop hasn't been played out yet, but definitely some good squares for it in the future. White square bishop is definitely one of the best pieces. The knight very well placed, and the queen is doing a good job helping out the pawn and also looking to attack on the king side here too. Okay, now we look back over here at white. What's going on? Both rooks look pretty bad here. Maybe we'll get some attack here on c4, but it is a little hard as that's being defended so well. This knight, I guess on the best square it could be, but these bishops are definitely lacking. These rooks are lacking, and the queen's lacking. All the white's pieces are I'm just not liking these at all. All right, here we go. Bishop to d3 got played. Of course, Ding is going to try and fight back, and here the idea is simple. Let's try to put pressure on this pawn. Maybe it's too far advanced. Here, a nice little preparatory move. King b8, no more worries about losing down on the c file for a pin. We'll just move out the way, and we still got this pawn right here adequately defended, so nothing to worry about there. All right, here we go. Rook to e1. Again, he's just fighting for something over here. He's just trying to develop his pieces. Unfortunately, there's just really no squares for them to go to. And well, here we go. Nepo's going to start the attack with the beautiful pawn to f5 here. Definitely trying to pry open this diagonal so that we can attack on g2. And well, of course we're not going to take. We're going to go ahead and play bishop c2. Of course not. Why not? Well, anything you do here will just be bad for you. e5, you can see, although it does advance, well, d4 becomes really weak. You can win over here pretty fast. Or, you know what? We're just opening up the diagonal here. I know things are bad over here too. Anything else? Maybe we could try and take on f5. You're more than welcome to do that. Already we have this beautiful idea and basically almost a forced checkmate with rook takes on d4 here. If knight takes back, checkmate in 4. Rook takes on g2 check, king to f1. Rook takes on f2 check, king takes on f2. Queen h2 check, king e3. And here bishop to h6 for check and mate. Oof. Let's not open this diagonal, right? So after f5, here Ding went ahead and played bishops to c2, knight c6, and all of a sudden we see that the d4 pawn is becoming quite weak. And here, well, Ding tries to get aggressive and plays bishop to g5. All right, my favorite move of the game, black to move. What do you play here? There's so many of these times in this game that you can really just sit here and enjoy and try to figure out what was the best move here. All right, at a -4 with a complete advantage here for Nepo, he goes ahead and plays. Rook takes on g5 here, sacrificing the exchange. When you get to a high enough level, you realize it's not about the pieces that leave the board, it's the pieces that are on the board. And after knight takes on g5, knight takes on d4, we have another star piece. Yes, this bishop is definitely worth about, I'd say, I don't know, 5 or 6 points. But now we have a new strongest piece, and that is the knight here on d4, which I think is a solid 6 points over here. It is definitely the monster in the position right here. And you can see that, well, look at this. There's just so much going on with this knight that, yeah, it's going to be helping defending. It's going to be helping attacking. Definitely my favorite piece on the board right now. Well, you can't just sit around and do nothing. There's already ideas with like knight to b3 to go ahead and maybe win over here with the queen. So Queen to h5 gets played, trying to get aggressive and attack some pawns over here. Of course, this is just a diversion. It doesn't really mean anything. These pawns are not too big of a deal. It's mostly about this king over here. That's the big deal. And here, well, here we go. Pawn to f6 got played, kicking the knight. Knight back to f3. Hopefully no one here was saying, hey, maybe we should take on h7 over here. I'm sure it would not take too long for him to go ahead and play something like bishop c5, and you can just see this attacking position is just way too much. I mean, this knight's over here doing something. Don't ask me what. It is doing something, though. Back to the game. Here, the knight retreats back to f3, and now a simple move here. Knight takes on c2 here. Rook takes on c2, and bishop takes on e4. At this point, just a completely dominant position. Why give away your best knight? Well, now you have a new advantage in this position. Do you know what it is? We know that we have good attacking prospects, but after bishop takes e4, we went ahead and won some more material. But not only that, now we have some passed pawns over here that we can seriously think about pushing. The bishop is definitely the best piece on the board, helping out with the queen side attack and also the king side attack. The queen side attack is mostly just about getting the pawns across the board, but still, nonetheless, there's too many options now to win. And with these rooks not really controlling much squares, this knight's just defense. The queen's over here doing, I don't know what it's up to over here. It's just over there doing something. The game does not last long. Rook d2. Of course, the trades of the rooks here would definitely help out Ding as well. Maybe there'll be some checks in the back later. So, of course, Nepo chooses not to do that. Bishop to d6, just bringing in the next piece. King to h1. Pawn to c3. Passed pawns must be pushed. Pawn takes, rook over to d4. At this point, there really is no good moves in the position. And here, well, pawn c2, passed pawns must be pushed again. Here, there's so much pressure that everyone was always considering the win on the king side. That, well, this pawn just comes out of nowhere and just wins over here by itself. And here, well, King Ding goes ahead and plays queen over to h6 here, trying to guard the c1 square. My last question for you. Black to move and win. What do you play here to get your pawn across the board? All right, hopefully you push pause. Hopefully you tried to figure this out. Well, this move is pretty simple, at least if you're thinking about what your opponent's moves are. The problem with this is that the queen is the main defender over here, and unfortunately for this rook, it has nowhere good to move to. With that being said, the easy move here to play was pawn to e5. And here, there's no good square for the rook to move to. Rook b4, bishop takes, c4, queen takes, d3, bishop takes, and unfortunately the only square the rook can move to where it's safe is something like rook to d2. At that point, we can just go ahead and queen. Now, I do hear someone saying, hey, can't we just sacrifice on e4? You're more than welcome to sacrifice. After rook takes on e4, pawn takes on e4, well, now you realize, hey, I can't take because, again, I'll be making a queen. So I guess we're just going to go ahead and move the knight somewhere. And, well, that doesn't help out too much. After the knight moves, there's many moves here to win. Bishop b4, maybe something as simple as bishop a3, just controlling the c1 square, but it is game over here. Even King Ding cannot fight back from this position. So after e5, he went ahead and threw in the towel. Now, this was a very exciting game because how many times can you remember a World Chess Championship game getting this crazy so fast? We're only in game 2, and we are guaranteed more fireworks up ahead. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Please give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.